Hi, welcome one more today. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our special edition of 36计, so 36 strategies. And we I lose my count, some interesting strategies in the past, and we sometimes describe it in a symbolic way, not a literal way, but in the end, we can put things together, how it makes sense of regard that as an effective strategy. Okay, so 关门捉贼 was what we talked about yesterday, about if you know for sure that you can outnumber your enemy, just enclose them, shut the door, and catch them inside. So that's the way, like applicable in the situation when you know for sure you're kind of like a 4-to-1 ratio to them. Okay, but today we talk about 浑水摸鱼. It's an opposite situation. It's like, oh, the enemy is so much stronger than you, but you have your target, you have a goal, which is the fish that you want to get hold of, right? You want to catch the fish, but your enemy is so much more powerful that it's not going to happen if you just go after the fish without, like, in a clear water. It's not possible. So you have to muddle the water first before you can take your action. Okay, let's go one by one. This muddle concept come from, of course, it related to water. You can see the water in full frame and water as a component. So the water sign came from the mainstream in the middle, and then the side streams on the side, that I view it as it gets closer to each of the banks. There are more interruptions to the current flow. So it's going to be disconnected somehow. So that's kind of visual, kind of a realistic depiction of how the water flow in a stream or in water. So here it's kind of generic. There is no specification of how it's a creek or stream or river. There is no specs to that, but the depiction is how the water, the fluid dynamic looks like this. Okay, so even if contemporary Chinese, we use water is in the form of drinking cup, like that's how we relate to water as water consumers. But water originally means water in nature, which is in a sort of channel and flowing like that. Okay, so we have water here, and then the right side is our icon for army. The reason why is because we have this. This is a simplified version. This is a original version, and I view the original version as more reasonable to explain, because here is more abstract and it's hard to say. But over here, you can see a certain pattern over there. It's actually a top-down view of the vehicle in ancient times. So we have the wheel in the middle, even if we only use a cross, but of course it's like spokes, many of the spokes, right? And then we have the circle thing, that's a wheel. And then the two ends. So the wheel is sitting on a spoke, not a spoke, axis, right, on the beam or something, so that it can rotate around, right? And then the wheel can easily fall off, right? So that's why we put two stoppers up there to fix them within that position. And so this simple mechanism or structure of the cart or wheel is captured like that. And why it's representing or related to military, because in back then, when it was still like there's no hot weapon, no firearms before then, right? The battlefield often filled with foot soldiers, your infantry, plus somebody who is on a carriage or on the wheel, so that it can be more mobile, and they probably can fight more effectively. Like, I cannot really imagine how that was conducted. But this carrier, is it called carrier? Like a carriage. Yeah, probably that's that's an ancient time of a carrier. In contemporary wartime, which is much more advanced of vehicle. So this is vehicle used as a weapon. in a war time, thousands of years ago. And this wrapping thing, almost like a big question mark, wrapping the vehicle inside with a chimney on the top. So this wrapper is kind of the abstract way to group them together, because the wheels by itself is just a weaponry, right? Representation. But with the wrapping, that means it's a unit, it's organized, it's all of them have to be count together to form the same unit of army. And of course, in ancient times, there are different ranks and different unit counts, right? Like depending on how many, and then that's one unit, and then you have a bigger unit. So this Jun concept, probably I read somewhere, is like 4,000 people involved, and however many carriage or the war vehicle involved. But in any case, it's about military. It's probably a big unit of military. Okay, so now that plus the water sign. Okay, even if some people say just simply explain it as the sound maker, it still made meaning here. Okay, so imagine the passing by of a 4,000, let's just imagine 4,000 people on foot or on this carriage, war vehicle rolling in front of you. Okay, not exactly in a parade sense, okay, because in contemporary military display of power of a parade is mostly on a tarmac, not tarmac, but some paved road, which doesn't have mud or dust involved. But this is in a battlefield, which is out in the nature, in a clearing place, right? And when they roll over, either on foot or on the wheels, it will be super dusty. So this dustiness in the air created by this whole army of 4,000 people was used to combine it with water, which is how muddy, how underwater dusty that was created by something. So most likely like torrents, like flowing too fast, or the seabed or the riverbed was filled with sand or something that got disturbed, or somebody go churning the water. So in any case, it's imaginable that this dusty army, chaos, almost like a man-made sandstorm image in water. So that's this muddled image come from. Okay, and then we have water, get out of the way, and fish is just a visual representation of the fish, right? This is the tail portion. These are the fish scales, and these are the side view of fish. Okay, so that's visual. Visual is easy to understand. There's a visual plus some abstract visual concept. That makes sense, right? And now here, let's make sense of that. We have the 5-finger hand symbol, but it was placed at the bottom. So it's kind of dwarfed hand, 5-finger hand symbol. But still, it's something involved with hand, right? And now we have this portion that's our grass symbol, grass. And we have 4 of them placed together with the sun. The sun was like inserted in the middle of the grass. Can you imagine the moment when the sun was kind of inserted or embedded in grass? Like, how was that? That means the sun is setting. The sun is going as low as even between the grass, because it's so low on the horizon. From your perspective, the sun is setting down as low as between the grass. So that's the sun setting scene that we're looking at. Either sunrise or sun setting. Most likely it's a sun setting that we're using. So this becomes that. And you can see in contemporary simplified Chinese, we move the 5-finger hand symbol to the left, right? So this hand, I mean, this is not more visually balanced, right? This is a little bit squished, like, oh. So the concept of that, I use catchphrase fish, but it's really a super simplification. The meaning from the icons here we can see is when the sun sets below the grass level, right? It means it's already kind of very close to the horizon. Is what's the word in English? Twilight zone. So the sun was kind of semi-setting already there. So it becomes dark. It becomes not well lit. Not well lit. Okay. And because in ancient times we don't have flashlight, right? There's no, unless you light up a fire, right? That's the only other way have a light source. If without a light source, you still want to find something, you lost something in the grass, and the sun set, right? And you cannot see clearly, and you have to use your hand to feel around the grass to try to find whatever you lost in there. So that's the sense depicted in this picture. It means you're relying more on the sense of from your skin, the touch, tactile. So you rely on tactile more than on vision in searching for something. So in this case, it makes sense because the water is muddled. It's like a dusty water. There's no visual cue as to where to find that fish, right? So you cannot rely on seeing the fish to catch it. You have to reach down with your hands in the water to feel if you can detect any fish around and then catch it. So that's the whole visual depicted over here. So 浑水摸鱼, muddled water. In the muddled water, you try to catch a fish. And of course, in practice, you probably is the one who muddled the water, because when water is clear, all the fishes can be seen. That means whoever are guarding the fish can see the fish as well, and can see you as well. And if you try to catch the fish in the clear water, situation, you can get caught easily, right? So, but if you muddle the water and you kind of submerge yourself in that muddy water and just feel by your hand to locate the fish, that's the only chance you can catch that fish. And so obviously this is the situation to apply when the enemy is highly guarded and most likely overpower you and outnumber you. So there's no way that you can get your target, which is a fish, unless you muddle the water. So I use the English translation as confused, like try to create chaos. Create the chaos so that your enemy have to pay attention to all the wrong signals and will be distracted, like will not know your intention. And you, in this chaotic moment, have your chance to go after your target and to get that thing out. So this plot of 浑水摸鱼 was illustrated in the story Ocean's 8. And exactly things like that happen. So they muddle the water, they create some sort of crisis over there, and then they end up getting what they want. Because of this muddled water situation they created, they are able to collaborate, 8 of them, to one by one eventually get their prize out, which is the fish. All right, that's our 浑水摸鱼. Cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie.